Good day, friends. Welcome to another powerful episode of Leaders Arise. It's always my joy and pleasure to come into your space on a day like this to share with you on leadership. I really want to appreciate you for your time, for your attention, for your patience, and of course your followership over time. And I want to believe that this broadcast has been a blessing to you ever since we started, and I want to thank you again for joining me on today's episode. Last episode I began on the subject of team building, and I said quite a number of things about a lot of things about team building. I began by telling us the need to understand what team or teamwork plays, the role that teamwork plays in life. I did explain to us that life is about teamwork. All right, nothing works alone. Everything you see that is working together is working in connection with another. God himself is the greatest team player and team leader of all time. He said, let us make man in our own image. So God didn't work alone. And of course, God said to man in Genesis chapter 1, he said it is not good that man should be alone. Genesis 1 and 2. All right, so that was what necessitated the idea of the woman coming into that space, and that is all about teamwork. And I did emphasize that no matter what area of influence or sphere of endeavor you find yourself, you need teamwork in the family, the research group, a company, an organization, a local church, even among your friends, committee of friends. Teamwork is very important. And I did explain to you also that your ability to function in a team will determine to a large extent how successful you would be. And because some people have lost their job today, not because they are not skillful, but because they cannot just work in a team. So the earlier you start developing yourself, the ability and the understanding that you need to work in a team, the better it is for you, because you're going to increase your rate of success when you know how to work in connection with a team. And today I want to take the discussion further, all right, by explaining to you, because today I'm going to be focusing on how to, all right, attract the right team members, or what to look for, all right, in a team, what to look for in a team member. Maybe I'm talking to people who are looking forward to working with people. So how do you get the right team member on board? Because as much as it is important for you to work with a team, when you also work with the wrong people too, all right, when you work with the wrong team also, you can imagine how frustrating it can be, and of course how counterproductive it can be. Sometimes it can even be better to work alone than to work with the wrong people. All right, even though it is best to work with people. But what I'm emphasizing today is that they must be the right people. They must be the right people. Then some of you also, maybe you have found yourself in the wrong team. This teaching might also help you to get out of such team. All right, because if you find yourself in the wrong team, you cannot achieve your dream. If you find yourself in the wrong team, you cannot achieve your dream. So you are as successful as the team that you belong. All right, you are as successful as the team that you belong. No wonder players in football, in soccer, they want to get to the best of clubs. Some of them even want to go to maybe Europe, go to Italy, go to some other Germany, because they know that if I can get into this atmosphere or this environment, all right, it will help my game. All right, so it is very important you understand, all right, the place of team in whatever it is you become or you achieve in life. So my job today, like I said, is to help you to determine or discover, all right, the things you've got to look for, all right, in the right team members, then of course in the right team. So because I'm conscious of the fact that those who are listening to me today, some are positional leaders, all right, they are leading a group of people. So I want to really talk to them. How do you get the right people on board your vision or whatever it is you do? The same thing we do. You may not be leading the people practically today, but you may have a vision, a dream, or an idea. Some of you have businesses you want to run, all right, and you are asking, so how do I know who to join me, all right, in the team? How do I know whether this my friend will be helpful for this team and all of that? Or maybe you are already in the team, all right. How do you know, all right, if the team that you are in is the right one for you? So let me quickly run through all of them, because obviously my time is already fast spent. So I want to discuss some of those things you need to look at, all right, in determining who and who should function in whatever team it is that you want to build. Now, the first thing to look at, all right, in determining who it is that are going to function with you in whatever team you want to build, all right, is what I call competence. If I'll give you 3 C's, maybe because of time, so I'll give you character in that order, I will give you competence, then I'll give you chemistry. All right, so you want to call it 3 C's of team building: character, chemistry, then competence. Actually, it's in these 3, it's in that order. You know, I began by scattering it for you. I said competence, character, chemistry, but of course, just know those 3 C's: character, competence, chemistry. All right, but it should be in this order very quickly: character first, chemistry, then competence. But maybe before I start telling you why it has to be in that order, let me begin by defining or explaining those 3 C's separately, so you understand what I mean by each of them. I will now marry them together to explain to you how important they are in developing or building a healthy team. Now, character. Now, what is character? Character talks about integrity. All right, it talks about, all right, there are different synonyms you can use to explain the word character. All right, somebody who is well behaved. All right, somebody who has integrity. All right, somebody whose yes is yes and whose no is no. Somebody that does not have a skeleton in his cupboard. In fact, somebody that doesn't have a cupboard at all, let alone having a skeleton in his cupboard. Because, you know, there's what we call the law of the bad apple. John Maxwell taught us that in his book. Actually, John Maxwell wrote a book on team. You may want to go over that book. I read it several years ago. It really blessed me. Maybe some of my notes have been drawn from that book unconsciously. Anyway, all right. So John Maxwell spoke to us about the law of the bad apple. How many of you have? I hope you've heard the word bad apple before. All right, it's a bad apple in this one. For example, in Nigeria now we talk about police force. All right, there's any part of our country that people are having issues with. I know it's not police force alone. Different part of the country, even your own country, whatever country it is you find yourself. But you will see the people at the helm of affair of the police. They will keep telling you that not all policemen are bad. Am I correct? And that's the truth. That's the truth. Not all politicians are bad. That's the truth. Not all pastors are bad. That's the truth. All right. Not everybody that is working with the internet is a yahoo boy or a fraudster. But why is it that people sometimes conclude that pastors are this one is that, policemen, they are corrupt, and it's just what John Maxwell taught, or the law of the bad apple. Once you have a bad apple in a team, it has a way of rubbing off the character of that bad apple. As a way of rubbing off. When I mean bad apple, I mean a bad individual. All right, it's as a way of rubbing off on the coloration of the team. So the team will now not be defined, as it were, by the individual member of the team. That's why no matter how you preach and say, hey, you know, for example, if you introduce yourself as a policeman, sometimes people are always afraid of you, always skeptical about you. And I'm afraid, even in the church work, when you say you are a pastor, people have to redress and sit properly and say, they have come again. Do you know why? Some pastors have not done too well, just the same way some policemen have not done too well. So one bad apple will actually spoil the entire basket of apple, if I may put it that way. So the same thing in a team. All right, when you have somebody with a bad character, in fact, somebody with a bad character in a team is an emergency that needs to be dealt with immediately. And this is where strong leadership is needed. Now, I'm talking to people who already have a team. Maybe mistakenly you have somebody who's a bad character in that team. As much as possible, separate that bad character. Now, I'm not talking about emotion here, because when we talk about some of these things, for more that are churchy like myself, we want to exercise some patience and say God is still working on him and all of that. That is very correct, but in real life, really, as much as it's good we get patient with people, but sometimes there are some things you do that may not give allowance for such. Even in the church work, we define some of these frailty or failures of people in different dimensions. There is maybe somebody who is weak, who is trying to get better, and somebody who essentially has a bad character. There are two different things. So if I'm to speak as a pastor now, the Bible is full of scriptures on how to deal with people like that. Different categories of people. There are some people you have to be patient with. You have to still keep up with them, pray for them, encourage them, still keep them in the fold. But in the scripture, there are some people you have to separate from the group. Yeah, you have to separate from the group. But I'm not even talking about church. I'm talking about team generally. All right, because if you allow somebody with a bad character, all right, in the team, number one, the bad character, number one, with the color. And if I may use that grammar, I don't know if it is correct. We change the coloration of the team. So people now say that church is bad, that business, don't mind them, those people, not knowing that it's just common one person, receptionist, that was bad. The other people are not bad, but that person that people had a bad experience with had actually affected the coloration of that team. So everybody says no. Just like in some part of the world, when they hear you are from so country, you say some countries are even bad or banned some other citizens of some particular country from gaining access to their country, no matter who you think you are, because one person, maybe a few people, all right, have behaved in a way that is not good enough, and that has changed the coloration of the entire country. And that's why I say it's an emergency. Character problem is an emergency that leaders need to understand. All right, it's an emergency. So, number one, it will change the coloration of the team. Number two, if care is not taken, it will rub off on the team. One person with a bad character begin to rub off on another part of the members of the team. They also begin to pick up that same character. No wonder the scripture says in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33, it said, don't be deceived. Evil communication corrupt good manners. So that means that you might have a team of 10 people. One of them is bad in the context of our character I'm talking about today, and 9 of them are good. If you leave that one person in that team, not only will it affect the color or the definition of the team, it also had a tendency to affect other people. It's just like COVID-19. All right, they have to separate. All right, and I'm not trying to, you see, this is not emotion or sentiment. Say, give him time. No. If I were to teach church people, there are times you need to give. Now, when I mean bad character, I'm not talking about somebody trying to get better. There is a difference between somebody who is growing, trying to get better, than somebody who is not taking responsibility for his behavior. All right, somebody who keeps on doing something that is bad, that is inimical to the health of the organization. Somebody that is involved in fraud. Somebody that when the customer comes, he finds a way to cheat customers. Or somebody who is just very cantankerous, affecting the image of the organization. And that's why I love corporate world. Most times they appear merciless. All right, it's only in church, all right, that we want to play to people's emotion. We want to say, if we remove him, all right, it will be as if we are bad. We are not bad. We are trying to help him and help us. Because some people will not sit tight until you let them get out of wherever it is they are occupying. All right. So there is that law of the bad apple. That what to do when you have a bad apple in a basket of good apples. It's not to be sentimental or emotional. Get that bad apple out for 3 reasons. Number 1, it will affect the coloration of the team. Number 2, it has the capacity or tendency to rub off on other team members. So they begin to pick up such bad character with or without knowing. Then number 3 is that it has a way of affecting the productivity of the team. Because when one bad apple begins to, or one person with one bad character begins to display that character, it will affect other team members. Can you imagine somebody go to the office with a colleague and say, please, can I have the file? Or I want to quickly check something, and they say, come and take it. The way we talk in this part of the world. And say, look, and begin to talk someone. It will affect that person's morale. All right? It will affect the person's morale, affect the timeliness of delivery of work. So before you know it, productivity will nosedive. That's why we must not be emotional. All right? So it will affect the color of the team, affect, other members of the team. Over time, the number 3, it will affect the productivity of the team. So ensure that whatever team you are constituting, you put character first. All right, you put character first. Because the mistake that some leaders make is that they put competence first. They put competence first. He said the guy is a wizard on the computer. The guy is a wizard on software development. The guy is this or that, but he has a bad character. He has a bad character. All right. I'm not discussing all this singularly. I'm not saying choose character, don't choose competence. I'm saying if you are looking for a good team member, you may have to look for somebody that has character, good character, chemistry, and competence. Now, he may not have them in equal dose, but at least he has them in some measures, because we improve also in our character. Nobody is at his best yet. But when you have somebody who want to be right, somebody who knows, who have a sense of rightness and wrongness, and is doing his best to get better, you already have a potential team member. All right, so character is important. So don't go for competence, all right, ahead or above character, all right, and don't be too soft about character problem in the team. Very important. Use your God-given wisdom as a senior leader to to help the team, get the person out of the team. And when you do that, of course, that's another discussion for another day. That's why I say use your wisdom. When you get the person the wrong character of the team, it doesn't mean that you throw. In agriculture, in food or whatever, food science, when you get the bad apple out, you throw it away. But in human science, when you get the bad apple out, you are not getting it out to throw it away. You get it out of the team, but not out of help. So you find some people are better helped when they are out of the team. Because that's the mistake that people may say, we will still leave him there so that we can help him. No, you won't help him if you leave him there. Get him out, but getting him out is not enough. Help him even while he's out. Do you get what I said? And that's why, recently I appreciate, of course, that has been over time, what they call prison correctional facility. How many of you have heard that before? They don't use, they have branded, it's been branded over time, and it's a correctional what? Facility. So who is a prisoner? I mean genuine prisoner, not the person that was wrongly accused. Somebody who is a bad apple in the society. Am I correct? So what do? You get him out of the society. That's the idea of prison. I'm not advocating for prison authority anyway, but I believe that should be the idea. That this person, if we keep him in the society, number 1, it will affect the productivity of society. Number 2, his behavior will rub off on other people. Then number 3, it will affect the image, just like those 3 things I've talked about, the coloration of the society. So we get him out of the society, but we put him in what they call it correctional facility. So a prison is not just a place where people are put to be punished, as it were, alone, but we put them there so that we can correct them. That's why every successful prison experience must reintroduce the prisoner back to the society, but at this time now as somebody whose character has been helped. So I just have to say that to balance that, so that you won't think a leader should be merciless, a leader should be without compassion. No, but I'm saying you need to separate compassion from the teamwork, so that you get the person out of the team, all right, so that the person can be helped, and so that the team can also be healthy. So you look for character first, all right. As a team leader, when you are choosing a team, you look for what? Character first. Somebody whose yes is yes, somebody whose no is no, somebody whose behavior is not injurious to the other team members or to the entire team as a whole. Somebody that does not have a skeleton, a cupboard at all, let alone have skeleton or having skeleton in his cupboard. And somebody, of course, that who he is in the open is who he is in the private. Somebody who has a sense of rightness and wrongness. Somebody who is committed to living right, committed to doing right, and committed to living by the highest standard of integrity and character. Did you get what I just said now? So the second one is chemistry. Chemistry. I'm talking about the 3 C's of team building. The 3 C's of team building. Number 1, character. Number 2, chemistry. What do I mean by chemistry? Ability to work with others. Ability to work with what? Others. Because there are some people, because of their nature, because of their behavior or whatever it is, they can't work with others. So chemistry simply means ability to flow easily with others. That's why you will get to appreciate that it is not just about skill alone. Some people are very skillful, but they can't work with others. Easily pick quarrel. I'm not even talking about character problem. I'm talking about people that are too full of themselves. They may not have bad behavior, but they can't cope with other people. They can't work well with others. Oh, I will discuss chemistry in different forms now. There is a chemistry of having somebody that can work with others, that can cope with others, that is comfortable working in a team, that is not full of himself, that is not selfish. That is very important in chemistry. But this other side of chemistry talks about somebody whose skill set or whose nature best fits a group. Because somebody can be able to work well with. That's why, in a large organization, sometimes they do transfers. They change somebody from one unit or department to another. Do you know why? Sometimes it may not be because the person's job is needed elsewhere alone. It may be because this person can best work with this set of people. So chemistry, somebody can have a bad chemistry towards a group of people, but he can have a good chemistry towards another. You and I know that all of us, we have people that we can easily flow with. All right, so that's why as a team lead, you've got to understand, and this person work with this person. So when you are choosing an assistant, for instance, now, you don't just choose somebody that can do what the lead is doing. You want to ask yourself, can this person, can they connect? Because in chemistry, you're talking about connection, being able to connect. That you have looked at this person, he can connect well. Or you are about employing somebody or bringing somebody on board your team, you look at him, maybe the way he talks, the way his view. It's because some people, their philosophy, their views, their opinion, their mindset, their whatever it is, all right, that they have can be very different, all right, from the team that you want to put them into, and you don't want to jeopardize the health of the team, all right, because of ignorance in this aspect. So chemistry is important, ability to connect with other people, and that presupposes that if you want to be a good team member, be a team member that can work chemistry easily with people. You will need this as an employee or somebody looking for a job. And that's what employers or interviewers always want to ask for. They will paint scenarios for you. What would you do if somebody did this? In fact, I've heard of interviews before that the employer, they intentionally offend the interviewee or the candidate for the job. They offend him. Say, who asked you to sit down? Stand up here. They just want to provoke to see how he will respond. It's part of chemistry. And you see an ignorant employee. He say, come on, take your job and go. They talking to me like that. Is it because of this your stupid job? Brother, you have already lost the job. Do you understand? You've already lost the job. Because what the interview panel was actually asking for or looking out for is your ability to connect. All right? ability to not allow other person's behavior to affect your response or your reaction, as the case may be. That no matter, because you must develop this skill to work with just any kind of person. This person is provocative, but you are so chemistry taught, permit my grammar, that you're able to work well with a provocative person. It also happens in marriage, that your wife is very hard, but you know how to, like I teach people in human relationship, nobody is essentially hard. Nobody is essentially hard. Are you following me today? Nobody is essentially hard. It's only that we have people who do not know how to connect well with people. They don't know how to connect well with people. Nobody is essentially hard. We only have people who do not know how to connect well with people. So a good team member is somebody that has learned how to connect well with people. Somebody who have learned how to connect well with people. All right, somebody who have learned how to connect well with people. Somebody who have learned how to behave, all right, in a way that is healthy and good enough, irrespective of how the other person behaves. So if you are the type that have learned how to connect well with people, no matter who they are, you are going to make a good team player or a good team member. And you will need it wherever you find yourself, even in the family. As a husband to be, a wife to be, as an employee, as a team head, as a member in a committee of friends, all right, in a local church, in a research group, wherever you find yourself. So your job actually is not to be asking that this is the kind of person I want to work with. You must learn how to work with just about any kind of person. I'm teaching you now as a team member, because you might not have the luxury of opportunity to choose the team you will find yourself. You get that job and they told you, you got that job and they told you you are going to work in this company. You say, I cannot work with them. Or I cannot work with this kind. Or you are the type that almost every now and then you go to complain to your boss. I say, please change me from this bad man. I don't like Mr. XYZ. Your boss will just be noting you that this person, I think it's high time we send him or her out of this organization. Do you understand? Because you have just shown to them that you lack chemistry. So you should be able to learn how to work with just about any kind of person. Then as a team lead, don't forget chemistry is important. And that's why leadership, maybe I'll be talking about that in the subsequent episode, leadership is important. So when you see that a particular team member is not the chemistry between him and the other members of the team is not good enough, you know how to make the right adjustment. So we look for competence, we look for character, number one. We look for chemistry. And of course, we look for competence. Competence talks about ability. And I'm sorry, I have to make this as number 3. That is not to say that, in fact, to me, it is very important. In fact, I'm tempted to put competence as number 1. But in my few years of leadership, I've understood that, all right, the gains of competence can be lost, all right, by character default or character defect or fault. Oh, this person is a very competent person. He has brought so many customers to our organization. He has brought our organization to limelight. But one character defect from that person can ruin the organization just at once. So that's why sometimes it takes patience. It takes patience. You must not be tempted. It can be very tempting as a senior leader. All right? Whether in a company, in an organization, or whatever. Even as a lady, you might be very tempted to want to marry a guy because he has all the skills, he has all the monies, but he lacks character. You need patience. Because when the ships are down, when the real character, because character is who people really are. Anybody can acquire skill or competence or whatever you call it, but character is who they really are. Because when the ships are down, when the rubber or the tire meet the road, the real person begins to show up, and if it's not well handled, it can affect, all right, the potential and the productivity of the team. So that's why I said, even though I'm putting competence at the last, it doesn't mean that competence, in fact, competence is very important. But I've learned in leadership All right. In fact, somebody wrote a book on 10 stupid mistakes that pastors make. And one of them is to promote competence above character. So it's a stupid, and he gave us examples of people who have made that mistake. Maybe you are listening to me here today, you have also made that mistake. You have brought a guy in to work with you because he is very skillful, very talented, but you didn't take time to watch his character, and one bad character display or manifestation has wrecked the team or the organization that you are trying to build. So like I said, the patience that you need to exude, all right, to ensure you get person with the right character as opposed to just competence alone will far outweigh, all right, the benefit of it will pay off in the long run for whatever time you might have lost in trying to look for the person with the right character. But competence is very important. It talks about ability, and I'm bringing it at number last because it is also very important. All right, so look for competence. You know, in my last episode, I really talked about that you must look for somebody, all right, who has the needed skill or competence, all right, to that the organization or the team needs. That was why I mentioned that emotion is not what we consider here. It's not family tie. It's my brother, it's my sister, it's my uncle, it's my friend. If it's my childhood friend, no. Can he do it? Does he have the capacity? Because in competence, you talk about capacity, you talk about ability, you talk about skill. I wish I have time, all right? Skill talks about what the abilities that people acquire, all right? Capacity talks about how much they have been able to work upon themselves, all right, to be able to deliver, all right? So all of this comes together in the mix called competence. You talk about ability, you talk about talent, you talk about skill, you talk about capacity, all right, and what have you. So all of these things also are very important. So that you will not have a square peg in a round hole, or you have a round peg in a square hole. You want to have a round peg in a round hole. You want to have a square peg in a square hole. There's no square. I don't think there's any square hole anyway. What I'm trying to say is that you must have the right people, all right, in the right place. Do you understand? You have the right person with the right skill, and that's why they also look for in organization. They look for somebody who has acquired the right competency. So my final word for you today as a roundup, as a team member, if you're in a particular team, you must always develop yourself, develop competence that will be needed in that team. You know, COVID-19 is still much around. People are losing jobs, but I heard somebody say some time ago, very recently, that not everybody is losing job. There are some people that will never lose their job, even if they are going to be the only person that they will. Do you know why? They have what the company needs. So you will lose job or retain job to the extent that your competence is needed in the organization. Not everybody is losing job, and not everybody will lose job. In fact, some people, even if the company cannot pay them, they will go into contract with them. Do you understand? That even if we can't pay you, but please still hang around, we will pay you per job because we can't lose you. So you must make yourself a valuable. You know, even in soccer, there are some players that the club can't afford to lose them because they have the right competence. So a team member that will be relevant and valuable to his organization or his team is somebody that is always developing the right competencies, or that will be needed in the team. So you make yourself irreplaceable, as it were. So you don't just sit down and just rest on your horse. You make yourself irreplaceable, all right, by ensuring that you are relevant, you are valuable through the required skill or competence that you have developed. And as a team head or team leader, don't jettison the place of competence, because one team member with the right competence will shoot the team so high than it has ever gone before. So that's your job as a team head. Look for the right people with the right competencies, ensure that they are brought together, all right, and their right competencies are well placed for the betterment of the team. So today I've been able to share with you on the 3 C's of team building: character, chemistry, and competence. Don't think you have understood what I've just explained until you have gone over this broadcast again and again. So go over the stream again on Facebook, on YouTube, MixLR, or whatever platform that you are engaging this broadcast from, so that you can get to listen again and again. And should you have questions, comments, feedbacks based on what I've just taught, you may want to reach me on all my contact and social media handles so that we can get to talk even after now. Don't forget to take advantage of our resources that you are seeing being displayed on your screen. And don't also forget to like this page, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not done that, so that you can get our updates or notification whenever we go online. Help me share this stream across all your platforms. Until I meet with you again at the next episode of Leaders Arise, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.